Hello, Mr. Gheorghiu.
Hello, how are you?
Good to see you, and
Thank you.
another beautiful games. So today we have a special request from Brazil,
Yes.
Felipe Barreto.
Yeah.
Uh, he's a fan of yours, and also
Yes.
he ordered your books. Now we
Yeah.
talk.
It
Yes,
seems he was a very good friend with my opponent from
yes,
this game,
yes.
and he asked us as a personal favor like this to analyze one or two games played against his friend Trois, who, in meantime, he is dead now. I mean, he disappeared lately, and well, it's a pity. He was a very nice guy. I mean, very nice person. And he played quite well, of course. And
So you have a
it's a
special
small,
memory actually with
yeah,
this game, right?
yeah, with this one, yes, because it cost me finally 3 years, from my career, because if I won this game, it was sure that I could qualify for the candidates tournament. It was very important at that time.
Okay.
And we showed the game. It was
Yes.
completely winning for me. And in one moment, I don't know, it's very difficult to understand what happened. Probably I was a little bit too nervous. I had hallucination like this. I can't explain. And I sacrificed the piece in a completely winning position, trying to win in a very nice way. You see, but it wasn't necessary. If I played normally, I could win without any problem.
So you should have won, but somehow we managed to lose.
Yeah, no, I
Meh.
lost. Well, I was guilty, of course. My opponent was not guilty at all. I mean, he played his game. What could he do? I mean, he was worse, much worse, but he didn't resign. I mean, he played until the end, of course.
Okay, let's
Okay,
see.
we'll show the game. So finally, we start c4, knight f6, knight c3, knight f3, c5. Well, all this is theory. Now, usually, if white plays a little bit later, knight c3, the normal line is g3, bishop g2, castle with a small edge for white, theory. This one is the old variation where white plays the normal line with a tempo more, I mean, if you see, it's almost the same for white and for black, the same position. And white has a tempo more, an extra tempo, So therefore, in this opening, white is a little bit better all the time. So after d5 is one of the main lines from the Tarrasch variation, the so-called Tarrasch defense. So, okay, knight c6, and now white has to decide what to do. Here, white can play a3 or take in d5, Well, probably the best way is to play immediately c take d5. So now, if black takes with the knight in d5, there are a lot of games by playing bishop c4, bishop d3, castle, and so on. All this is theory. I played a lot myself also, with white and with black. This is a very sharp line for both. But if black takes in d5 with the pawn, he accepts the fact that he continues the game with the Isolani, the pawn from d5 will be a little bit weak later on. And therefore, all the time, in all variations, if they play well both, white is better all the time. A little bit, but enough, probably. So, okay, he took with the pawn. Okay, now again, theory, bishop e2, bishop g4, a little bit too ambitious, but it's playable. It's possible to play. Black wants to play immediately bishop out, bishop to g4, and then very quickly rook c8. I mean, to have the rook already in c8, for the middle game. Okay, after rook c8, white accepts the challenge and took in c5. Now we have the Isolani, as I told you, So, and now, what did I play here? b3. Okay, b3, castle, bishop b2. And now it's clear. White plays later on against
Isolani.
this pawn from d5. If you can attack very well twice or three times, the advantage is very clear, for white. So, but the main problem for black is that he has to be careful with the control of the square d4. If white, for instance, has time to play knight b5 and the knight to d4, that advantage is, big enough, you see. Is even more than in our game. So, of course, a6 is a good move. And now after h3, bishop back to e6, okay. And here, what did I play? Bishop d3. Also very quiet, but very good. Now white is threatening to play the knight from c3 to e2 and have control, I mean complete control on the square d4. And therefore it's clearly better for white, you see. The problem now is that black can't play immediately d4, trying to free himself, you know. I mean, if he can play d4 and trade some pawns, he's all right, you know. And some pieces, pardon. But after d4, knight a4, he loses at least a pawn, you see. Because now the bishop is attacked, it has to go away to bishop a7, for instance. Then white takes 3 times in d4, and you can't take back in d4 with the queen because you lose the queen with bishop takes h7 check. And okay, if central pawn stays there in d4, is winning for white already. If you can't play this, you have to accept the small weakness in d5 all the time, I mean the whole game. And therefore the advantage is clear for white, you see. So already in this position, I had almost 1 hour more on the clock. You can imagine, you know, having such a position and an extra time, I mean 1 hour more. Very big advantage, you see. So, okay, rook e8, black has to wait. Knight e2, okay, until now everything is all right. You know, knight e2, knight e4 is the best counterplay. Okay, knight to d4. And what he played here, knight g5. Okay, and starting from here, everything is complicated, but it's very good for white, you know. So here we have many possibilities. First of all, white can take, for instance, in c6, and you have to take with the rook. And then knight d4. Again, you put a piece in d4, and it's excellent for, you know, for white.
But he can take first here.
Yeah, okay, you take back with the queen, and again, big advantage for white. You see, even without the 2 knights, you know, if he stays with this weakness in d5, the advantage is clear all the time, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not necessary. So here I wanted more, but I tell you, I had to be quiet, you know. If I play, for instance, rook c1, you know, rook c1, little by little, difficult. Black has no counterplay at all. I mean, counterplay, very small. Has to accept the fact that he's, you know, under pressure all the time. And here, I wanted to win by force very quickly and to win in a very tactical way, you know. So, okay, I tried to find the combination.
Because these 2 bishops looks very dangerous, right?
No, white is much better, of course, but is not forced to win, you know, unfortunately, in 2-3 moves, you see. So I wanted too much because I knew that if I win this game, it's sure that I qualify for the candidates, you know. So, all right, here I play knight f5. It's okay, it's a good move, but maybe not the best. Probably the best move was simply rook c1, I told you, you know, preparing all the time, you know.
Yes.
So, okay, after knight f5, of course, what did he play? Bishop f8, of course, now bishop f8. And here I found the combination. Well, if let's say I don't see anything, you know, I realize that I have a small advantage, I go back with the knight to d4. I wait with an extra time, you know, I mean, 1 hour more on the clock. Very difficult for black to play, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so rook c1, the same plan that I told you before. You know? So here I found the combination, you know, to try to win quickly. You see?
Okay.
And I had the blackout like this. It's very difficult to explain after so many years, you know.
Wow.
So, okay, I took in g5, he took in g5. Now you have to continue, you see.
Okay,
so if you want to be quiet again, you play simply queen f3. But okay, it's better for white, but it's not immediately winning or something, you see.
Yeah.
So I found this way to continue, f4, which is probably all right, but it's not necessary because now you have a small weakness in e3, you see.
Yeah.
Pawn from e3 is a little bit weak if you don't win in a few moves, you see. So, okay, f4. So he goes back to d8 first, no? And here, in this position, you have 2 ways to sacrifice if you want to continue this way, you know. Very complicated and probably okay for white, you know, better for white, is to take simply with the knight in g7. Complicated, but okay, possible. Now, you take in g7, he has to take, of course. You take back with the bishop, he takes with the king, and now f5. Now, if he goes back with the bishop in d7, it's lost for black already, you know. After f6 check, he can resign in a few moves, because after king h8, queen h5 check, is almost mate all the time, very
Yes.
quickly,
Yes.
very
Yes.
quick. So, and what do you think? What did I play here? I took the knight, and instead of taking, well, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, you take twice in g7, he takes and he leaves the bishop in g7, in e6.
Yeah.
He plays queen g5, but then you can take back the piece, and the position is very open, and white is attacking, so it's clearly better for white.
Yeah.
But okay, so here, what do you think? What did I play? I
I
told
see.
you a hallucination. I gave check in h6. Now, of course, if he goes to h8, he's resign. I mean, he can resign after f5 in one move.
Yeah.
But of course, he takes. Now he takes in h6. I mean, he
Yes.
gave
He
a
took.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now I played f5, and he goes back simply back to d7 because now I forgot. I mean, the last moment I had probably the idea that I have something a pawn in f4 or in h4. If I have a pawn in h4, is mate in one move, or in two moves. But now he goes
Okay.
back, and now after queen g4 check, he has time to put the queen in g5, and he's simply a piece up for black.
Okay. So basically, you missed that the queen is protected here.
Yeah, I missed. I forgot probably. I mean, I don't know the explanation. By this high level, it's impossible to do something like this.
Yeah.
Especially if you have 1 hour more on the clock. You see, it's just,
It seems it's not. It's,
no,
it's,
well, it
it seems
happens.
sometimes it happens.
It
Yeah.
happens, from time to time. Rarely, very rarely.
Wow.
But okay, it happened. Then, when it was not necessary.
I think it was very hard on you at the time, right?
No,
to-
but the position was so good for white. You can
Yeah.
imagine that even here, without a piece, it's still very difficult for black to realize the advantage. Okay, white is probably lost already if you
piece,
don't have mating attack quickly. But even so, it's quite difficult to win. So we'll see the rest. But it's a pity, because what did I play here? F4.
H4. Yes.
H4 is a good move now only if he takes. If he takes in H4 is okay for white, because now you have time to play rook F4. If you have time to come to F4, it's probably very good, Probably good chances to win. But of course, he's not forced to take in H4. So knight E5 is very good move. So what did I play now? I played queen H5. Okay, white is giving everything. Now, if he takes in D3, what did he play here? He took in D3 or not?
No.
No, F6 again, very strong move. But of course, very natural. I mean, the bishop from B2 was still very active. So he
Yes.
plays a very strong move F6. Now the diagonal is closed. Now probably white is very bad shape here, So I continue the best way, still rook f4, white is rook d1, pardon, rook d1. So now I gave him the chance to take, and now we played rook take d3, and after bishop b5, white is giving every piece by playing rook f4, no? Rook d4, pardon.
Yes.
Rook d4. Now you accept the fact that he can take, but now it seems that you have still a small chance to attack, to have a mating attack. So rook g4 check, bishop
Wow,
g7,
you were
and
all
queen-
in here.
yeah, and queen takes h6.
Yes.
Well, it seems that white has something, but by one move, black wins.
Yeah.
He has time to do what he did in the game. Queen e7. This is very strong because now he can trade queens, and now you don't have attack anymore. So after bishop takes f6, queen takes e3 check, and now is lost for white. You take back one piece, but it's still an endgame with a exchange up, for black, and this in every position is winning. So I had to take. He took. I took in g7 check, king f8, king take f1. Well, and this position, unfortunately, is lost for white. It's lost because I don't have time to have the pawn in g4. If here I have the pawn in g4, white has still a very good chance to win. If
To
the
win?
pawn is in g4, yeah.
Why?
Because you can stay with the bishop in f6. You play simply g5 and the rook takes in h6, in h7. And this is very unclear. It's probably almost lost for black. But by one tempo is not enough. So again, we see the rest. The rest is very easy for black. So because now you have to to give the rook there and take the rook from e3, and that is not enough. You see. So,
You have to give up a rook.
But you have to, otherwise you lose more than maybe you lose a piece or something. So so now he took, I took, and what did he have? H5, because white threatens still G4, if to arrive, somehow. And here is very easy, So you have to give check. Now again, if you have the king in D2, it's still complicated, but the king is only in E2, and you lose the pawn from A2, and therefore it's too much. Okay, so now he can take the pawn, and now it's very easy. Okay, rook D2, and now it's forced. You see, bishop E5, and takes the pawn, and now he has also the pawn D free, free pawn, and it's very easy. So okay, G4 the only chance, and now we played until the end, but he's completely winning for black. D4, what did I play? H5, D3, King F3, no? King F6. Now you lose the pawn F5, unfortunately. Now H6, no? He took the pawn, H7, and rook E8, and okay, white resigned. White resigned because you lose the other pawn also, you have to go back with the bishop, and after rook H8, you lose the pawn. Yeah, very easy. Okay, what can I say? No.
Wow, but this game actually was very important for you, right? Because after this...
No, not only this, but the problem was the following, I lost the game by this, by this very big mistake, blunder. So I came back to the hotel. I couldn't sleep the whole night, and next day I played a very important game against Tal with black, So I forced against Tal, We showed the game already.
Yes, we showed that game also.
Very big fight.
Yes.
And I managed to lose against Tal, and in these two games, I lost the qualification. I lost the candidates,
And you only needed one draw.
I needed only, let's say, I couldn't win against Trois, such a position.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't win. We make a draw, and then I play normal game against Tal, and probably I make draw, because all my games against Tal were draws all over the world,
Until like this moment.
Until then, and afterwards, I played many games afterwards also. He could never win. He played almost every game with white, you can imagine, Tal playing with white all the time,
Yes.
And he couldn't win one game, and I lost myself. I gave him the possibility to win in Riga because I played, like a fool. Like after this game,
you didn't sleep, and then
it was not normal. No, but I lost the qualification here in this game, against Trois.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the small story, Pity, but what can you do? It's by this high level, it happens from time to time, somehow. Even the best players, sometimes they go crazy and they make mistakes,
No.
So later on, in a few years, we had the small revenge. We played in Germany, and I took my revenge, and I won the tournament. Okay, very strong open, but it was not so important like this one, So
yeah, we'll see that game also.
Yeah, okay.
I will get to it.
Yeah, we'll see because it's our special favor for our friend.
Yes. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. He wanted this, and we'll see how you can win against a strong opponent. I mean, he played very well, Trois, but he was a normal international master. It was still a difference. You see, even here in this interzonal, he came pre-last. You can imagine. Unfortunately, he managed to lose against all my opponents. All the other strong grandmaster. He lost against everyone.
Yeah.
So I started with 1 point down, one point down. I mean, everybody won against him, and I lost against him. So the qualification is lost. It happened. It happened.
I think it's part of the journey.
Yeah, of course.
All of this.
Of course. No, it's.
Okay. All right. So
the
again, thank
level,
you.
Even at the highest level, it happens. Yeah. So okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
So it was the small story like this, but a sad one, because what can I do?
It's always a happy one and a sad one for someone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
It was not only this, but in this time, I mean, in that period, if you couldn't qualify from the interzonal for the candidates, you have to wait another 3 years. I mean, the next chance was after 3 years, and that was a little bit much.
A lot of time, yes.
3 years is a little bit too much. But okay, that was, the small story. All right.